Jason here with Techwarelabs.com, providing continuing coverage of CES 2015. We're here with Mushkin at the Mushkin Suite in the Aria, looking at some new products, some stuff just announced here at CES 2015. We've got some new SSDs, of course DDR4, some PCI Express, some really cool products. Tell me a bit more about your new stuff.
Sure. I'm Brian Flood, Director of Product Development for Mushkin. First off, we have a prototype of our new Ridgeback Generation 2 heatsink. These will be wrapping around DDR4 modules, 4 and 8 gig, 4 gig up to DDR4 3333. So
that's pretty fast.
As fast as your memory controller can run them, they'll go. So yeah, we're really excited to get that out. It has a nice new aggressive industrial look, and we think it'll be well received.
So your overclockers, our enthusiast readers, are really going to want to stick these modules in some machines. If you got some Intel Extreme and you actually can't wait to overclock, you actually really need some faster modules.
And actually with the XMP 2.0 profiles in there, even if you don't like tweaking every single setting, you can just enable the XMP profile and they'll run rated speed, just one little change in the BIOS.
So, but for those folks who like to micromanage everything, want to really go in and fine-tune their rig to get every last megahertz out, how flexible are these modules?
You know, if you loosen the latencies, and you know, for DDR4 3333, there's usually not a lot more space you can go as far as the memory controller is concerned. But if you buy a 2800 kit, maybe loosen the latencies up, just one timing set for each, you know, CAS, Rasta-CAS, and row precharge. Probably get another couple hundred megahertz out of them.
Not bad. Keep that in mind. We're going to be testing that out at Techwarelabs.
Okay, next up, just announced at CES 2015 is our Striker SSD. This is powered by a Phison PS3110S10 controller. This will have up to 565 megabytes per second read, 550 megabytes per second write, and up to 92,000 I/O per second. So
92,000 I/O.
Yeah,
that's awesome. That's a lot.
Right, and both on the read and write, it's very strong, 88 to 92,000. And so we're going to be building this with Micron L95B, so it'll be priced at a point where you know, it's very attainable, very good cost per gigabyte, but with premium performance.
And what capacities is this going to be available in?
We're going to be launching in 240 through 960.
Very nice,
and
very nice.
We will be doing up to 2 terabytes in the future as well, just not initially.
But pretty much from the get-go, you have almost a terabyte worth of storage space in an SSD.
Absolutely, yeah. And so for all your large Steam libraries, if you were running a 240 or something before, you have 4 times as many games that you can put on there now.
Very cool. And for your videographers looking to do 4K who want no lag in your streaming, that's the drive to get.
Yeah, 4K RAW, these will write at sustained over 300 megabytes a second, which is what you need for 4K RAW. So, yeah, we're set with that.
Very cool. Let's take a look at your PCI Express.
Okay, so we have a few PCI Express offerings. First up, this is our Scorpion XC for extended capacity. We have already released this product in a two-way with 2 member drives, but now we've changed the connectorization here to allow for 4-drive stack, 2x2. So this is a Marvell 9230 here. It does support trim. It's an HBA, and it's going through 2.0x2. So we're going to price this aggressively, about 50 cents a gig, and wow. You can get up to 4 terabytes in here. We're building both Sandforce mezzanine cards at 480 each for a 1920 gig assembly, and then with SMI 2246 controllers, we'll be able to do a true 4 terabyte solution.
And of course you get the just blazing speeds of PCI Express.
Yeah.
I want you guys to think about that. We're talking about 50 cents a gig at SSD speeds, PCI Express interface. There's absolutely no reason to buy a drive like that. And again, as you just heard, it goes up to 4 terabytes worth of storage space at 50 cents a gig. There's absolutely no reason I can think of to not pick up a drive like that, stick it in your machine. You're not only talking about blazing fast storage, read-write access, but you're also talking about a lot of storage.
Yeah, and if you have large collections of video files, you're doing multimedia editing, scrubbing through that, this will keep up with it and give you that space you need to not have to have multiple storage devices, and spread all your video files over all those. You can just keep it in one place.
Right.
Okay, so next up, we have, this is a really exciting product. This is using a Phison PS5007 controller. This is an M.2 PCIe 3.0 by 4 in that little tiny form factor. That's a 2280. So this will do, with that PCI 3.0 interface, that'll do up to 2.8 gigabytes per second.
Holy crap.
And 1.5 gigabyte per second write, and up to 350,000 I/O per second. So
a lot of your Ultrabook users out there, this is what you're booting off of these days, so you can't go for your standard 2.5 SATA drive. A lot of notebooks are coming out and tablets booting off of these style drives, and you're just talking about a phenomenal amount of speed and, of course, IOPS in a really tiny storage space. And what are we talking about in terms of storage capacities here?
In the 2280 with 2 terabit parts, we'll be able to do up to a terabyte. And we'll also be able to do 22110 form factor. So, when those 2 terabit parts are a little bit pricey at first, we'll be able to do the terabyte capacity in a little bit longer form factor. So, and a lot of the boards these days are coming with M.2 sockets on them as well. The motherboard's high end, X99, Z97. So
yeah, and for you guys who are enthusiasts out there who like your system like me, you don't want to wait for it to boot. This is just a lot of speed. You're going to be booting half the time of your regular drives.
And it's another thing where you don't have to have another set of wires, another SATA power connector running in your rig. It just, these new boards, you can put it right in on the board, and it's nice and clean and tidy, and you get, the airflow coming from the processor if you're using air cooling, and it keeps it nice and cool and running really fast.
Yeah, availability, when can they look forward to?
Around the middle of this year, middle of 2015.
Would you care to estimate the street price people are going to be able to see on these?
It's a little ways out, and you never know with the market, the NAND and DRAM, the market changes so quickly. We wouldn't want to say something now and give the wrong impression. Mushkin we've always priced our products very fairly. We want to bring cutting-edge technology to the masses, so rest assured that when this does come out, it's going to be priced competitively or more than competitively. Like our, for example, our 1 terabyte drive right now at Newegg is $359.99. That's a leader at 36 cents a gig. So we always want to move volume. We always want to get aggressive and bring these cutting-edge products and have them be attainable for the enthusiasts, because that's who we cater to.
Very cool. Very cool.
So next up here we have the Seagate SF3700 controlled products. This is an M.2 2280 going through a PCIe 2.0 by 4 interface. So this will do 1800 megabyte per second read and write, 150,000 I/O per second. So this is another little powerhouse in that tiny little form factor. SandForce controller is always really, really, really great at mixed workload performance. Just, when you need that boost, when you need that fast feel, SandForce controllers are great to provide that subjective increase in performance. So we're going to have that available in this. Now these controllers are both SATA and PCI Express, so it's for us to build it. It's just a little BOM change to go SATA or PCI Express. But PCI Express coming in the future, that's going to be the main storage interface that we're targeting. So, and this is similar to this, but in a little bit different form factor. So this will enable 2 terabytes because we have more flash placements, and that'll just drop into your board. If you don't have an M.2 slot, everyone has a PCI Express slot now, so you can just put that in there, and it's a nice, easy upgrade.
But more and more boards for you guys who are enthusiasts out there tuning in. more and more boards are coming with M.2. If you take a look at our recent reviews, a lot of those boards are M.2 compatible. Go look inside your rig, you'll see a small slot that looks very similar to this edge contact, and you'll be able to tell. It should actually be labeled. Or you can take a look at a lot of the latest Asus boards come with M.2 slots built in, and you can boot off of those.
And in the older boards, you know, a lot of times, even in the Halem systems, you know, some of the first Core i7 systems, they're fast enough for a lot of people to do what they need to do, but what's slowing them down is storage. So this kind of card, you can just plug it right in there, and your bottleneck is instantly eliminated. You move it over to something else, and now your machine feels way snappier. What
would you say to those enthusiasts out there who are concerned that they'll pop a PCI Express storage solution into their machine? They've already got a 980 or a 290 in their machine, and they're concerned about bandwidth overlap, or not having enough bandwidth on that PCI Express bus.
Typically, you even with the older chipsets, you'll have a by 16 slot, and then maybe another slot that can run by 8, or a couple other by 4 capable slots. So typically you can even have your high-end graphics card at by 16. You can have a higher-end sound card, which is running like a 1-lane 2.0, and still add this in because it's only taking 4 lanes. So, we're not trying to rob the bus here of all the lanes. You should have plenty of lanes to put that in and run everything.
So for all your enthusiasts who are gamers out there running the latest games, pretty CPU intensive, and they've got a 980 running, this is not going to hurt their gaming performance.
No, and typically in games, you get a lot of the loading right in the beginning, and then those maps get cached into the memory, so that
right.
when you get into a new area of the map, it loads fast. So it won't slow that down at all. In fact, it'll speed it up.
Very cool.
So, and then our final release, we're doing some power banks, and so like everything we do, we want to bring good products at a good price. So these are 4,400 milliamp hour all the way up to 13,200, and so these will be very aggressively priced. And everyone's connected, everyone's mobile, so we're bringing out a product to address that market as well.
So 13,200 milliampere hours. That's a lot of capacity for you folks out there. You're talking about several times charging your iPhone or Android phones on just one of these.
And actually, I use this particular one all the time, and it's been a lifesaver. If I'm traveling overseas in Taiwan, my phone will barely get a signal, and it's just that really drains the battery. If I'm riding in a taxi, I'll just plug that in, and I'm ready to go, and I can still get in contact with who I need to get in contact with.
And for you folks who are like me with a lack of patience, you have a 2.1 and a 1 amp output, so you can either fast charge your phone or device, or you can set it if you don't need it really quickly. You can set it to 1. And you're good.
Yeah, and most people travel with, a tablet and a phone, so you can charge them both at the same time and just top everything off, because it always seems like when you really need your device, that's when it runs out of juice, and this will make sure that you're set for that.
Awesome. Thanks for the preview of, a really great lineup of products. As always, stay tuned. Tune in to Techwarelabs.com, and we're going to have reviews of as much of this hardware as we can put our hands on. Thank you, and stay tuned for continuing coverage of CES 2015.